where do we start? October.
Here we are.
It's October,
Dude, September came and went.
Yeah. That was really, it was quick and surprisingly just really fucking long at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be 29 days. I feel like, okay, no, like 31 days, like 30 days.
They could totally do that too, because like
Ben
Ben Franklin was just like, oh, we're just going to have this thing called daylight savings time. So he just invented that. They could totally just be like, we don't need a couple more days of September.
I feel like the whole almanac thing is like stupid anyway, because, I mean, aren't we making plants in labs now?
We're making mosquitoes too.
Yeah, we're making mosquitoes. We're gonna be making bees pretty soon too. I feel like that's gonna be a thing real soon as well. You know, like that Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever watch that one? That one was way too fucking long. I didn't finish that one.
No, I didn't finish it. So it's October. Spooky season is officially among us. And me and Dave thought that we should just fill your guys' plate with the most insane, fucked up movies one could watch.
Yes. And we're not talking about, like movies like Scream 6 or Saw X, even though those are great movies. They came out earlier this year, and go check them out. Great movies. At the same time, we're talking about the kinds of movies that some people just don't really have the stomach for, man.
We're not talking about like Seven either.
Nah.
Like not those kinds of movies.
Darker.
We're talking about some dark web type films.
Yeah.
Just disgusting.
Yeah. Disclaimer: we did not go on the dark web for these movies. No.
These are available on there's actually a platform.
Yes.
So there's for horror movies and stuff. There's Shudder, right?
Yeah, there's Shudder.
So for these kinds of movies, there's a website called www.fuckedupmovies.com. And
I think it was called. Wasn't it called EFFED? Like it was like effedupmovies.com.
Yes.
That's what it was.
EFFED, effedupmovies.com.
Because I don't think you could put fuck in a URL.
Apparently you can't.
Can you?
I don't know, but
anyway,
we're gonna have to try it. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to test that out.
Yeah.
Test that theory out. But so
www.inthefuckingbox.com. Let's do it. Let's try it.
All of these movies can be found on effedupmovies.com, right? If you want to watch them. Now, if you don't want to watch them, we're going to give you all the great details of some of our favorites.
Yeah. Or at least, in terms of favorites, just ones that really stood out the most, I will say.
Yeah, I did not enjoy myself while watching these movies. But
some of them I did.
I just want to preface, like, we're not sickos.
Yeah.
If you were to turn on one of these movies, you'd be like, wow, these guys are fucking sickos for liking this. I did not like it. However, I do enjoy myself a little movie magic.
Yeah.
And in a lot of these movies, you cannot... They look like snuff films. And for those of you who don't look like snuff, who don't know what a snuff film is it's basically like a...
It stems back to, it stems from the tree of porn, basically, where there are these, dark films that, are sold in these black markets that basically depict torture, sometimes rape, and other crazy fucked up shit, And these movies are said to have existed. It's not really known. I mean, there are some, and of course, this was before the age of the internet. It's like what I'm talking about. But as time went on, we had the age of the internet now, and that's where I actually feel like a lot of these movies really stem from, is the kind of like, I was really thinking about like basically where these movies like came from, right? So movies like Martyrs, movies like Atros, where they were made sometime before the 2010s, but right after 9/11, but like some point after 9/11. These are like post, in a way I feel like these are post 9/11 byproducts in a way.
Yeah, but also the Blair Witch changed a lot.
Yeah, the found footage. Yeah,
because this found footage, like cinematography, became very popular amongst horror filmmakers because it brings a certain uneasiness to the audience in terms of the shaky cam and not really having the full picture, because typically you have your wide shots and you have your tracking shots and shots that kind of get the environment and stuff, and as an audience member you're kind of informed of the who, what, when, where, and why, right?
Yeah.
With these found footage, you can just be looking at a person's face for like 10 minutes and you have no idea what's going on. You're experiencing everything the way they are experiencing everything, and that's what makes it so scary. It's
very much live action, like in the moment. Like it's almost like making a movie in real time, basically.
Yes.
Where you have a scenario and you're just given basically like this this camera work that kind of fits the scenario that that you're working in, basically. Yes. And it's just all kind of very crap, like very 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 like hand put together, like very and I think that actually helps a lot too with low budget productions as well. If anybody who's on a tight budget wants to make a film, they normally go the low budget, like handheld found footage route. We got that with Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch, but also in movies like such as Atros, which is like what we're gonna talk about just right now.
August Underground,
yeah.
It's another fucked up movie.
Man, yeah.
But so what I was saying was, like, in these films, it's really hard to differentiate what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching a movie, I do kind of like that because we, more than most people, know a lot about how movies are made.
Yeah.
So we can be watching a movie and kind of get thrown out of the plot because we know exactly how this is going to play out based on, camera techniques or whatever. That's why, like, specifically horror is kind of hard for me because I'm like, okay, anytime I see a mirror and I see maybe a bathroom mirror and I see it open and close, I know that, like, after the third time it closes, there's going to be something in that mirror.
Yeah. Or it's always going to be like just fake out,
Exactly.
It's either a fake out or it's exactly what you expect, and so,
or a door or a fridge.
Yeah.
I've seen that as well.
And those are the kinds of like horror movies that I think after, like, we've had, because we've talked about this like a lot over the years, extensively, like just how like horror movies are made. And even when we're watching it, when we don't know how something is made, our curiosity is still driven to be like, oh shit, how'd they do that, right?
Yes.
Whereas when you get these kinds of movies that have this graphic content, this kind of fucked up, kind of like unpredictable nature, those are the kind of movies that actually kind of make me go like it hits the panic button in my chest,
And that's exactly why
Yeah.
we enjoyed some of these movies, because you're all the way in.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that can take you out of it.
Yeah.
And, I prefer these movies over like a Scream or a Halloween, because these are visceral.
Mm-hmm.
They basically request a visceral reaction from you.
Yeah.
And they work.
Partially why they exist is to get that reaction out of you. Whenever you ask, like, man, why would somebody make this movie? Because that's what I kept asking myself too. Like, shit, who makes this movie? And it's made for the purpose of the reason why you're asking it now is like, who makes this movie? Is like that feeling in your stomach that you get, is like, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why, for that fucking gut feeling where it's like, maybe you shouldn't be watching this,
Yes.
And so
exactly.
And so and also I just wanted a disclaimer too, like I said, these are movies that we're going to talk about. Not everybody has the stomach for them. You don't have to watch these movies at all. If you are curious at all, check them out. effedupmovies.com. Some of these other ones are also going to be on other streaming platforms too, but
yeah, a lot of them are straight to video.
Yeah.
And a lot of them you can find free.
Yeah.
On like Tubi or Roku channel, stuff like that. So if you are interested, be warned, they are fucked up, but they are available to you. So let's break it down. Let's break down the first one.
Okay. So did you want to start with Atros?
Yeah, fuck it. Let's
get right into it.
That's the one that I watched most recently.
Yeah.
And man, you were kind of immediately thrown into it with like a serious car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And
almost immediately.
It's bad. They show everything.
Yeah.
And you're kind of thinking like this is going to be like a kind of detective noir type deal, the way that they're going to be solving this case, and it immediately doesn't become that at all. They start finding these tapes. How do they get? I forget. How do they get to arrest the two?
So the
dudes?
way that they got to arresting the both of them is there's these two men. They got into a car accident where they killed a young girl. Right. They hit a pedestrian, and so the detective shows up and he finds the videotape, or not the videotape. I'm sorry, the camera that they were recording in. And so they were both drunk, in the middle of the day. And so this was like obviously an accident, but in the same time they're sitting in the back of the cruiser, and the police officer, he's watching on the video. And what does he see on the video?
He sees them roughing up and torturing a prostitute.
Yeah, a transgender
prostitute. And it's awful. It's the worst thing. And they're like peeing on this person. This person's peeing on themselves because they're so scared. And I think eventually they just like shoot them in the head.
Yeah, and it's fucking wild at first because as you're watching it, you kind of like get these little glimpses of like, okay, this is kind of like staged, because the duct tape around the body isn't really like tightly wound up, and so you're getting that for a second, but then like as the acts evolve like throughout the scene, you're starting to be like, this is fucked. This is just And so it quickly devolves into that.
And it's all like shaky cam handheld
yeah
deal. So it's very hard to tell what's real. Like I'm like, damn, are they really hitting this person?
Yeah. And then yeah, man. And it goes on for a while too. That's the thing about like this movie too, is that whenever these scenes of violence are depicted, they go on for quite a while.
Yeah, and we don't have to get into like
not every
some of the
scene,
storyline, but like some of the big ones were like there was one of the tapes that they found where I guess this guy meets a stripper.
Yeah.
And one of the guys meets a stripper, and he ends up like bringing her back to his apartment, and they like have sex and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess
she's on her period when they have sex for the first time. And
he likes it.
Yeah,
he like falls in love with like the blood and stuff.
He's like he has like vampire like tendencies almost. You know, it's wild, man.
And yeah, he does some stuff to her involving scissors.
Yeah,
because basically it gets to a point where she's not on her period anymore, and she's like obviously happy about that or whatever.
Yeah, but he's angry.
He's angry, so he has to get blood from somewhere, and he uses scissors to get that.
Yeah, there's scissors and there's a
he
vagina.
Beats her with the camera.
A camera.
He beats her with a camera, and you're seeing her head being bashed in like with the camera. It's again, I don't know how they're doing this. I don't know how the filmmakers are doing this, but it's one of those things where I'm like, this is fucking. Is this real?
Yeah. It really. I feel like a lot of it is like from the school of like Herschel Gordon Green. The guy who. Was really like the godfather of gore at the time when he was like pioneering all this shit, his use of like, I mean, I don't know, man. He was crafty, and that's the thing. When you have a low budget, when you have like just a handheld camera that you're working with, you have to be crafty, and that's what when you have that, I mean, you got realistic, like gut wrenching violence right in front of you, and
boy,
at the same time, you're taken away from the fact that it's not real.
Yeah.
There's
some more backstory. What's the guy's name?
Goyo.
Mm-hmm. We get some more backstory on him.
Yeah.
And is that like they found a videotape or something, or no? It's just kind of just a random flashback, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's well, no. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, they found like another tape where they had killed the prostitute, and so they found another tape, and that was a VHS tape, because it was old. It went back, and so that indicating that it was like a story that went back basically.
Oh, man.
And it basically chronicles the videotape basically chronicles a Goyo's father, finding out that his son is gay. right? And he finds a bunch of gay porn like in his underwear drawer, and it's all on VHS tape, right? And so, and it's framed in this way where it's like the VHS camera's like sitting on the nightstand, so you're getting the daughter, Goyo's sister, which is down in the hallway, and then you also have the father who's like still rummaging through the contents, and so this whole scene is breaking down while you're just kind of getting this voyeuristic view through this VHS lens, and as the scene goes on, he tells the mom, like our son is gay, and he's a fucking pansy, he's a princess, all that shit. And so then he ends up taking his son out to Mexico's like red light district, and he tries to get him a prostitute. Of course, because Goyo is gay, I mean, he's not gonna be able to get it up with a woman, and the dad just doesn't understand that, and he takes to basically sexually assaulting his son later on that night in front of the family, and it was just oh man, oh god.
Then the video skips. Yeah, it's bad. The video skips, and now we see Goyo tying up his mother and father.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't even
Look,
know
man, I don't really even want to. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really. I don't know, dude. I can't say it, man.
I'll just say it. It's fine. It's fine. So again, it's like. Oh my God. So Okay, so it cuts to Goyo. He now has his mother and father tied up.
Yeah. And
his sister's like operating the camera.
Yeah.
And he like rapes the dad.
Well, he tells the mom to put on the strap on.
Okay, so he tells a mom to put on this strap on.
Yeah.
That has barbed wire on it. And he forces her at gunpoint to like sexually assault the dad with it.
Yeah.
The thing about this is the filmmakers chose to add a camera to the end of this phallus.
Yeah.
So you're seeing this guy's insides get torn up.
Yeah.
Like as it's happening. So.
Oh my God,
Jesus.
dude.
And then it kind of that scene finishes with Goyo cutting off his mom's boobs.
Yeah.
And like sewing them onto his dad's chest, and then cutting off his dad's genitals and putting them on his mom.
Yeah.
Real Ed
Gein shit.
Yes, and then after they're done with that, the brother and sister start like making out.
Yeah.
And like he can't get hard.
Because it's his sister.
And he's gay.
And it's also a woman.
And she starts like making fun of him and stuff.
Which is a bad move after you just killed your parents. Yeah. Why would you laugh at why would you do that?
and then he like slits her throat. And just leaves her for dead.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to like present day.
Yeah.
Where we're seeing him being interrogated by the cops. Wow, this is a lot more uncomfortable than I thought. People are going to think we're fucking weirdos, dude.
Oh my God.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. Look, we wanted to try something different this time around. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to power through it. We're going to bring it to y'all. And so, yeah, that was directed by Lex Ortega. I hope he hasn't made anything else. Like, I think I'm good on Lex Ortega. I think yeah.
Some of these directors need to like just stop.
Well, you know what, man? I also thought too about it, and I this kind of ties in a lot with like I feel like it's a theory that a lot of people have about artists, and I feel like it's kind of popular in a sense. But I feel like directors who don't go on to be directors kind of wind up becoming terrible people, you know?
Maybe.
Or I feel like artists who are denied like artistry go on to be awful people, you know? Where it's like that art is like that vessel that
I could
need,
see that,
you know? Which actually kind of makes me think about a quote from another fucked up movie that we should talk about called The House That Jack Built, which reminds me of...
That's a good movie, though.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a great movie.
It's great, and it's also very fucked up.
Tame. It's tame compared to these.
Tame. But still very good, and I think that it goes back to Jack's quote where he said, "Some people believe that the atrocities we commit in our fiction are those inner desires which we cannot commit in our controlled civilization. So there, it's instead expressed through our art, you know."
Wow.
And
yeah. Lars von Trier is like he's able to make these like really fucked up kind of pieces of work, like Antichrist and stuff.
Yeah,
and
Nymphomaniac.
Nymphomaniac, yeah, Volume 1, Volume 2, and it's like, but I think the reason he's able to do those so successfully and not kind of be cast out like all these other fucks, is because he's able to really like philosophize the idea of violence and the idea of the depravity of human beings.
Yeah,
and you know, that's cool. You know, it is.
I think he's very much in tune with like that like Jungian shadow of him, like of himself. You know, like he's very much in tune with like that darkest aspect of himself. And I feel like he really brought it out in The House That Jack Built, because in a way I feel like The House That Jack Built is very much a movie about Lars von Trier himself. You know, it's very much like a movie where like he kind of prosecutes like himself. You know,
it's like he'll never be a murderer or a mass serial killer.
Yeah,
but he sure can paint himself as Jack and just have Jack do everything that he maybe has thought of in his life before.
I don't doubt that he doesn't see himself in Jack at all. You know, like I'm sure he does. And yeah, man, I really do like Lars von Trier though, like for being a guy who can do that, you know, where it's like another thing too, I think, is I feel like a lot of these movies are really made for like that one fucked up scene, you know, where it's like you just want one scene, you want to film one crazy ass scene, but you need to create a context behind like why this whole movie exists for why this scene needs to take place, you know.
And like in horror movies, there's a lot of like scenes, like, and I think a great example of that is like in the Scream movies, they're very like meta in the way that they decide to make their films. Yeah. But they have like scenes, like they have like, you know, like the opening to Scream 1 is like its own kind of thing. Yeah. And even in like Scream 7 we watched, right? Or no, Scream 6.
Scream 6, yeah.
They had like the ladder scene, like where they were crossing over, like that was its own like they could have made a clip and like marketed the movie with that one clip, and it's like, because it's like high intensity, it's engaging, you're not sure what's gonna happen or how it's gonna play out. Like I guarantee you that was probably the clip that they like showed at all the Tonight shows and all that, to market the movie, because a lot of these horror movies just have those scenes like what you're talking about. Yeah. You know, some of them are just more crazy than others. Like,
did you have another one that?
Yeah.
What else?
There's this one called The Girl Next Door. It's this like really low budget kind of movie that's based on the case of the abuse and torture case of Sylvia Likens. Yeah, so which was a abuse torture case that happened in the 50s.
Was that a book?
Yeah, there's been books written about it, but it really happened. It was basically like this girl and her sister, this young girl and her sister. Yeah. Their parents died in a car crash, and I think they were sent to live with their aunt, and their aunt just abused and tortured both of them. Mainly the older one, Sylvia Likens, and basically like the movie depicts all the torture that was involved. There's also another movie that's about the same case. It's called An American Crime, and that one's starring Ellen Page. Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page, and
An American Crime.
American Crime. It's about Sylvia. That one's like literally like based on the case. So like the character name is Sylvia Likens. The character has a different name in A Girl Next Door. And it's told through a different perspective. It's told through one of the young boys' perspective. But yeah, basically, the aunt. It's hard to not watch this movie without getting really, really, really angry. Yeah. In fact, I watched it with like a friend of mine, and like at the end of the movie, she just like started crying. like
Damn,
hysterically.
dude.
And
holy shit.
It's bad. It's it like explicitly depicts the abuse that this girl goes through.
Yeah.
Some of the acts of abuse are kind of like not included because, like I said, it's told through a perspective of the next door neighbor, the little boy.
Mm.
Oh, man, and
damn, dude.
yeah, basically like the aunt just like mentally abuses the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And then she has all the
like how, in what way? Like mentally?
Like you're a slut.
Oh.
Or she would basically coerce her into telling her the first time that she like kissed a boy or whatever.
Oh.
And then she'd be like, "Oh, you're a slut." Like,
wow,
like
dude.
all this stuff, and then be like, "Oh, I bet like you touch yourself at night and stuff." And she's like, "No, I don't." "Yeah, well, you admit it." And she'll like hit her until she admits it. And then when she admits it, she's like, "Oh, this is why you're a slut, and no boy ever wants you." And
God.
there's like scenes where like they have it's so weird. I guess it's so weird, but the aunt has like the little young boys of the neighborhood like just come over and take turns abusing her.
Holy shit.
Like sexually,
dude.
Physically. There's one scene where well, cuz she would have her tied up in the basement
Yeah.
with her legs like separated, I think, and her arms being pulled, and she would just have her tied up like that every night. And there was one scene where like some of the neighborhood boys would come over and like they would just use her as a punching bag. They just like beat the shit out of her. Yeah.
What?
And there was another scene where like she was
where did this take place? This Sylvie Likens
somewhere in the
case?
Midwest, somewhere in like
dude.
the real southern kind of
the
just,
Midwest.
Yeah,
like
just like
one of them square states.
yeah,
in the middle. Like
yeah. I think so. I don't know, but
shit.
And
man.
it was in the 50s, and things were just weird in the 50s, and
yeah.
Yeah. There's like one scene where like she writes like slut or something, like she tattoos her with like a needle. And like she burns it, and she like scars her, and it just says like slut or something. And then there's another scene where she's like she doesn't want any guy to have her. Well, she's like, the thing about it is like any guy could still have her. We have to make it to where she doesn't want any guy. So she actually like burns off her like genitals with a blowtorch. Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And she eventually dies just from they don't feed her. They torture her and
wow.
Yeah,
so it's just a hopeless case, basically.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's just really sad, and she eventually dies.
Wow,
and
dude.
Everyone was found guilty and stuff in the case, and
fuck.
Yeah,
damn.
That's more of like a movie, you know, more with like a story and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just like awful. It's just
Damn,
awful the stuff they do to her and stuff, and what's even more fucked up is like you have to remember that like it actually happened.
Yeah.
And that's just even worse. Just makes you feel worse.
Dude.
Yeah, just awful.
Man, you know, there was another one that I had seen earlier this morning before I came over here. It was you ever seen Elephant, directed by Gus Van Sant? No, that one
sounds familiar, but no.
That one basically is a depiction of the Columbine shooting, or not really like a depiction of the Columbine shooting, but like a retelling, like a fictional retelling, basically.
That's what A Girl Next Door is.
Yeah.
It's like a fictional retelling, yeah.
Yeah, that's because I'm pretty sure whenever these movies are whenever these movies are made, such as Girl Next Door or Elephant, there needs to be some sort of fictional like kind of placement you have to put on there if you want to depict like the story and the way that you want to depict it, which is like with Gus Van Sant. He basically starts off with a very slow moving day, like throughout, just like a normal day in a high school where you're following students. You're following these two students who are like one's like a jock, the other's a cheerleader. You have this like frumpy girl who's like working in the library.
Wait, I'm sorry. I have seen clips of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I thought it was actual video footage from Columbine.
No. But no. Yeah. So no, dude. I remember I saw that movie. I saw that movie on YouTube. It was free on YouTube. I must have been like 16 years old, dude. That was one of the first, I will say, like fucked up movies I've ever seen in my life, and that scared the shit out of me. It was one of those movies where it was literally like, because I wasn't even afraid of horror movies, like even at that age, right? Where it's like I wasn't too scared by like it was really hard to actually like get a reaction out of me with most horror movies. And this wasn't even a horror movie. It's just a drama, right?
Yeah.
That Gus Van Sant is depicting. But the nature of it all is that, you know, you're having this slow building day. It's like these one track shots, you know, like these slow moving scenes. And then once it builds up, it starts building up to a momentum, to a point where you're actually seeing like the cold blooded fucking killings of just like these students in this fucking library. And it's gut wrenching, bro, because you're also hearing the gunshots too, and the gunshots are like echoing throughout the entire fucking school. You got, you know, the linoleum floors, and you got these long echoey hallways and shit. You're just hearing, and it's fucking crazy, dude. And so I remember that actually being one of the first like really like fucked up movies I had seen, you know.
Damn, dude.
And it's one of those movies that left me feeling like devastated, but at the same time, that gut feeling that I had kind of had me chasing for other kinds of movies like that, you know. It's like,
yeah, it's like you go down this rabbit hole,
yeah,
and you like it because these movies like attract the depravity that is in everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the behind closed doors shit. Like the behind closed doors version of you. That's what it speaks to.
Because even though, you know, say nobody, like say there are people that don't like to see it. I mean, there are people that are curious to, you know. I mean, your curiosity is going to make you take a look. You know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You know, you shouldn't stifle your curiosity. You know, these if you want to check out these movies, you know. I mean,
go for it. That's what they're for,
dude.
Especially within the month of October.
Yeah, dude.
But I think you spoke on that this was like the first one that you'd seen.
Yeah.
The first one that I had seen was a movie called Cannibal Holocaust, which was a 1970s kind of snuff-looking documentary-style film.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about this was that the director of this was later murdered. But at the time it came out, he had a contract with all his actors, including himself, to where they were not to be seen in the public for exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
And this was to give the guys that like the film was real, because it's shot entirely documentary style, and it's basically these people. I don't know. I forget the reason why they're over there, but they go over to this third world country.
Like a Congo-esque like type.
Yeah, like Congo,
the
Amazon or something.
Heart of Darkness type.
Yeah, and they basically contact a uncontacted tribe of cannibals. Mm-hmm. And the cannibals have their way with them.
Yep.
They kill them, they eat them.
Yeah.
In the most gruesome ways, and it is so incredibly jarring because of the way that it's shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally shot like a documentary. And
what year was it made?
Like I think 1977.
Shit.
Or
dude.
78.
Same year Halloween came out.
And so it looks really scary.
Ugh.
And I don't know how they did this, because it's like it just seemed like the tribes people weren't actors.
Yeah.
But I guess they were. Like, I don't know.
Fuck, man.
I don't know how they did it, but like they show killing and eating of people like in really explicit ways. Like,
yeah.
If you were to watch this movie for the first time, you'd be like, "Oh, these people died."
So my guess is, okay, because I haven't seen Cannibal Holocaust. I've been wanting to see it, but is this shot in like a documentary type style, or is it like is like shaky cam like?
Yeah, no, it's like shot like imagine like a 1970s documentary about like. About something,
because the way you're describing it, it sounds a lot like the kind of like the wartime combat footage of like Vietnam, you know, where it's like
that's how it's shot.
It's shot in that same kind of way that gives
like
it like
the camera looks good, like it's film, but it's just like,
damn, dude, that sounds crazy. Man.
It is so crazy, and it's crazy that like you're like, wait, this is a movie, and it's in the 70s, so there's no CGI or anything. It's like that's the thing. Yeah. They ended up remaking it, not remaking it, but kind of like giving it a soft reboot.
Yeah.
With this movie called the Green Hornet, or not Green Hornet.
The Green Inferno.
Green Hornet. Wow. The Green Inferno. Holy shit. The Green Inferno, which was directed by Eli Roth, and he names The Cannibal Holocaust as one of his most like influential movies
Yeah.
in terms of horror. And so when he got an opportunity to do The Green Inferno, he basically like paid homage to that film.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's not as good, but it's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you want to watch something a little tamer that's basically the same, watch Green Inferno. If you want to watch something that's fucked up, really crazy, and you're not really sure how they made it, go ahead and watch The Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
If you're someone who doesn't like old style filmmaking, it's going to be a little bit hard to watch because of like the old look of it. But if you're someone who enjoys that and gets scared by it more, like if you're someone who really likes the old Halloween, definitely go for it. I think it's a really good watch, especially this month.
And if you guys also want to see a fucked up movie that doesn't truly depict any violence on screen, but is still fucked up in its nature, you guys should check out Funny Games by Michael Haneke.
I didn't get a chance to watch it.
No,
I did not.
Okay, so Michael Haneke, I believe he's a German director. Okay, and he made Funny Games in sometime the early 2000s, and made it in Germany. And it basically depicts a home invasion, but it starts off with these two guys who come off as brothers. Right, they're dressed in these golf clothes, and they charm their way basically into this countryside vacation home with this family. And they start talking about like, oh, that's a nice set of golf clubs, sir. Like, may I take a look? And then they immediately cripple the father with the golf club. They tie them up and they put them in the living room, and they basically make a bet with the family saying that we bet that you guys are not going to be able to survive the next 24 hours.
Oh, dude, Michael Pitt is in this?
Well, okay. So that's actually what I'm getting to. So there was a German. The original was German. Yes, okay. Right there. So the original was German. I think it was Universal Studios. They actually wanted Michael Haneke to remake Funny Games for an American audience. Michael Haneke said okay, but he didn't. He literally did not change anything whatsoever about either film.
Really?
So it's literally a carbon copy, exact same copy, just shot for shot.
Different actors?
Remake, different actors, yes. So instead of like German actors, you get Michael Pitt, you get Tim Roth, you get Naomi Watts.
Damn.
And it's a banger of a movie, honestly. I really love this movie because of the restraint I think that it pulls in a way on like what it is depicting. You don't actually see any real on-screen violence. Instead, Michael Haneke leaves the imagination of the violence up to you. Where there is a scene, for instance, where Michael Pitt. Let's go with the remake, for instance. I love reference.
Michael Pitt.
I fucking love Michael
Boardwalk
Pitt, dude.
Empire,
dude.
Crazy.
Yeah. He's great. But anyway, so there's a scene, right, for instance, where Michael Pitt, he goes into the kitchen and he's making a sandwich, and at the same time, his brother is playing Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo with a shotgun in front of the family. And so he's playing Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Michael Pitt gets up, goes into the kitchen. You're hearing this in the background, and you're also hearing Michael Pitt make a sandwich. And so the camera's focused on Michael Pitt making the sandwich, and you're just hearing this in the background keeps going. Eeny, Meeny, Miny. And so you're waiting for it, and you're also waiting for like in anticipation is like, is he actually going to kill? Like, are they actually going to like shoot somebody in this home? And you wait for it. It fades out a little bit. Boom! You hear a loud shotgun blast, and then the scene cuts basically where Michael Pitt is getting mad at the brother. He's like, "Dude, you were supposed to wait for me," or some shit. They leave, but the camera lingers on the family. They linger on the family, the mom and the dad, because their son was the one who got picked.
Bruh.
Yeah, and that's not revealed until after they leave. And so you're just left with this like 5-minute shot basically of the family reacting to their son getting killed.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And so it's almost like Michael Haneke is not showing you the violence because
He's important.
He's critiquing the audience in a sense,
right.
Where it's like, why would you want to see this? Why is this? Yeah. Is this the violence you want? Is this the movie you guys want to see?
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I'll give it to you, but I'm not going to show it to you, in a way.
Damn.
So it's still fucked up in its nature. But man, dude, if there was ever a movie I felt like that just was just like evil. Like I think it's funny games for sure.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just in how it plays with the audience and the story that it tells the audience, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, dude. You gotta check it out.
Yeah. Dude, I'm just in a disgusting, just kind of like I just feel this pit in my stomach talking about this stuff. It's just really hard to talk about. But
yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any others.
No, there was nothing else.
Nah, I didn't really have.
I don't really. Let me see here. If you guys want to check out a Soviet film, real quick, I'm not gonna go too much into this one.
A Serbian film?
A Soviet film.
A Soviet film?
Yes, a Soviet film made during the Soviet Union.
I don't have any more, but I do have honorable mentions that I do not want to talk about at
go
all.
ahead. Okay. Yeah.
But no, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Okay.
And then I'll go.
So with Come and See is basically the Eastern Front perspective, basically, of the Russian invasion from the Nazis, and it's from that point of view. The actor who was in that film, he was 19 years old at the time. He had, blue eyes, blonde hair, and throughout the production of that film, by the end of that film's production, his hair was bleached white. And it wasn't because he dyed it. It was because his hair literally turned white because of the subject matter that was like being depicted in the film. Not only that, the Nazis that are in the film, they're wearing the actual uniforms of actual German SS officers. So that's all real, like Nazi uniforms. Terrifying fucking thing. Dude, it's really truly one of the most devastating horror war movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, guys, you thought All Quiet on the Western Front was a hell of a movie. Come and see, fucking come and see. All right.
It's called a Soviet film?
No. It's called Come and See.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Made in 1985. It's directed by, let me see here real quick. It was directed by
Elim Klimov.
Elim Klimov, yes.
Jesus. Wow, it's actually considered one of the top 250 movies of all time.
Yeah. For good reason. It's probably the only horror film, or it's probably the only war movie that you would really have to watch.
Wow.
Yeah. Not that I don't like Platoon and Full Metal Jacket and all those other great war movies, but man, dude, nothing says it quite like Come and See. I will say that. But
yeah, I got to check that out.
That's the last one. I don't really know any honorable mentions.
So I have some honorable mentions that I do not want to talk about, but I have seen. One of them being August Underground.
Yes.
August Underground is a found footage film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just depicting two dudes being total fucking assholes.
Yeah.
They're just beating, raping, torturing.
Yeah.
And it's literally like the time span of like a couple nights. And it's basically like you're watching it's basically like you're a homicide detective watching VHS tape footage.
Yeah.
That's basically what it's like watching this movie. It's disgusting.
Dude, I would hate to be a homicide detective.
Yeah, I know. Actually, that's what I wanted to do for a long time, and then I was like, if I decide to do that, I can't have like a family.
Nah.
Like, I'd have to just be completely like fucking Detective Loki from fucking Prisoners and shit. Just
eating Chinese food on Thanksgiving, dude.
Yeah, dude, just off the grid, fucking.
Yeah.
And the next one is Solo, 120 Days of Sodom.
Yes.
That is another 70s movie. It's not necessarily horror, but everything in it is absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
It depicts everything from killing and raping and abuse of just young boys and girls.
Yeah.
It's basically about like this really higher power government officials
They're like fascists.
Yeah,
right?
like fascists in Spain, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or Italy.
Yes,
And
Italy.
they basically it honestly kind of is like a Jeffrey Epstein type deal, because they're basically like these high level officials in like the Italian government or something, and they go to this place where systematically it's that place's entire existence is dedicated to like gathering young boys and girls for like sexual pleasure.
Just basically the most like hedonistic like type of festival that's like taking place in this Epstein like mansion.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
There's scenes involving them being forced to like eat poop.
Yeah.
And forced to like sodomize each other. It's fucked up.
It's pretty wild. And man, the director was actually murdered for it too, wasn't he?
Fuck, all these guys are getting murdered. It's kind of I'm seeing a pattern. But yeah, I think so. The next one is by far the worst one. I'm not even gonna go into what happens in this film, but it's called a Serbian film. It is it is the most disgusting film I've ever seen in my life. I do not know how anyone financed this movie. I don't know how it even got released. You cannot find it anywhere, really, except on that effed up movies site. There are no copies of this movie. It is the worst movie I've ever seen, and I'm not saying like it's bad in quality or writing or anything. It's just like the stuff that happens in that movie is absolutely the worst stuff I've ever seen in my life, and I will not be watching that again.
Yeah.
The stuff that happens in that movie sticks with you for like months, years. I first saw it when I was like 18. I was just going through the rabbit hole of like all these movies, and I watched it, and I still to this day vividly remember like all the fucked up scenes that happen in it. So
dude, I feel like if you own like a Blu-ray of that movie, I don't know, you should be like on a watch list or some shit.
Yeah, it's one of those things like watching it. When I watched it, even though it was totally legal and it was available, I really felt like I was watching something illegal.
Yeah,
like I really did feel that way. So, I'm not gonna go into that one. But if you want to watch it, it's available online. Fucking be my guest. But that has been the most fucked up movies we have ever seen. Like we said, if you don't have the stomach for it, do not watch these films. However, it is the month of October, and
next week we're gonna come back with a new episode. We're gonna still be in the vein of the horror genre, but
we're gonna talk about the newer movies that have come out. So we're gonna. Our plan is to go check out the new Saw movie and kind of talk about the franchise in its entirety.
Exorcist Believer.
And The Exorcist Believer.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get into a little bit about how David Gordon Green and Danny McBride are like kind of reviving the classic slasher films.
Yeah, man.
Because that's an interesting topic too. But that was a tough episode. But
dude, I really appreciate you fucking sticking through it, man.
Yeah,
I know that was.
I'm good. Just don't think of us as like weirdos because we're totally not. It's just cinema. But
we're curious people. We like watching movies. We'll watch the movies that most people won't. Yeah. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Thank God you have us.
Yeah. So that's been episode 9. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Later.